Ladies and sinners, we're back. We're back at the Sin City Sports Show, IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Cale Henderson. You can get at us on our Twitters, at SinCity_IESO, or get at my Twitter, at Cale_Henderson. I'm telling you guys, right here, right now, ladies and sinners, tornadoes weren't keeping me from this show tonight. Yeah, we had tornado warnings for the last 3 hours. It was raining sideways. I have leaking in my 1960s house here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to bring you that Raiders love, that Raiders coverage, that Vegas sports, because this is a show built for the Vegas fans, the Vegas sports fans. So excited to be with you guys today. In my cardboard box, my PC that somehow didn't get touched by rainwater and tornadoes, cyclones. You guys get where I'm getting at. And you know what? The only thing that could have stopped that was Will Smith. Yep, sorry, I had to do it. My bad. No, not my bad. I don't care. It happened. You know, if Will Smith would have treated the storm the way, you know, his wife treated him most of his relationship, it would have never happened. You know what I'm saying? Okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going to talk about, okay? Oh, my guy, Taryn Rodriguez, thank you for stopping in already today, man. Thank you for stopping in already in the show. Las Vegas Ramblers, volleyball. Man, my guy, you are a well-versed human being. I've honestly never fully gotten into volleyball, and that's my bad. I fully admit it. I'm a very honest human being, transparent. The only time I got involved with volleyball is when the girlfriends in high school were playing it, and we all know why. Yeah. I'm not going to say it live on the air because this is a family show, even though I have expletive going on. I also don't want Larry B hunting me down. My guy Larry. Listen, folks, we do have quite a bit to talk about. It's a busy month coming. Well, I wouldn't say it's been a busy month for Vegas. I'd say what we're looking at is the precipice of a busy year in Vegas. You got the Las Vegas Aces. They're going to be starting off their season here soon. We have UNLV. They got athletic news. Vegas Golden Knights are gearing up to try and make a run to get back into the postseason. The postseason for the fifth straight year, basically since their inception as an expansion team in the NHL. And then we have the Raiders, who at the end of this month will be picking their first draft pick with the new regime, third year in Vegas. And there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be happening here at the end of the month. We just got to get through it. But before we do that, listen up, folks. Before we do that, I want to give a shout out to my guy Taryn. Taryn, thank you for doing all of the shout outs on Twitter, everything like that, making sure the show is announced consistently. And I love your Be a Team thing, man. You know, I think it's awesome that you guys promote that on a consistent basis. IE Sports Radio is the stuff, man. If you guys get a chance, check out my fellow podcasters on IE Sports Radio, okay? These guys do a great job. They do a lot of research. They have busy lives, but they still find time to give you sports, the sports you need in your regional area. So listen, it's a shout out to my team, all right? Give them some love. Taryn is the volleyball expert here, man. Again, well-versed. I've been so knuckleheaded with football, boxing, hockey my whole life. I guess I just never really got the chance to fully dive into other sports, and for the right reasons, if I may. Before we get totally into the show, I want to talk about one of our sponsors real quick. IE Sports Radio is sponsored by the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other in sports organizations. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get film to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro athletes or semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance. If you love your sport, you may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. Social media for the Southern California Warriors, you can get at them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, and their Facebook, the Southern California Warriors. Listen, folks, UNLV had something happen this weekend that hasn't happened in a long time, as if ever. They had a freshman, guys, let me say this out loud, a freshman golfer playing the Masters. Yeah, I mean, you guys heard it first. You guys heard it here, right? Maybe you didn't hear it here first because we're basically recapping what happened. But AJ McIlnerney. I probably just butchered his last name, but when you guys look at it, I mean, I'm telling you, it's the McElroy effect. McIlnerney. AJ McIlnerney is a freshman out of UNLV golf team. Unfortunately, he finished. He didn't quite make the cut. I do see, if you guys go to the UNLV golf page, you could see a shot. He had a beautiful shot on 16, which is one of the tougher par threes. And listen, a freshman had an opportunity to play at the Masters. As a freshman, one of the toughest golf courses in the world, where hundreds of participants playing golf. First of all, side note, how do they get the golf course in immaculate shape year in, year out when you have roughly 200 golfers just tearing up your course for a weekend? It's incredible. It really is. Sometimes you have courses that can't have PGA Tour events for years because it takes so long for them to get that stuff together. And that's what happens. Like, they can do it on a year-to-year basis. That grass is on steroids in Georgia. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you. It's crazy. But anyway, shout out to AJ. Shout out to UNLV for putting a golfer in his freshman year in the Masters. It's super cool. Super, super cool. All right. Just to get into a little bit more of the UNLV, was reading up a little bit on UNLVathletics.com. It seems as though they have 4 upperclassmen returning on that offensive line there for the UNLV Rebels, for their football team. Sounds like they should be in good hands. A lot of experience. They played together for years. They're hoping to ignite a running game behind also 4 very elusive receivers they're expecting to do some work this year. The Rebels baseball team is on a 3-game win streak. Gotta love that. UNLV looks like they're cooking. Listen, I know about a month ago, I had stated that UNLV is boo-boo right now. But the athletic director came right out and said, listen, we're trying to do the best we can to get back to competitive shape in the Mountain West. This athletic director is no dummy. He understands they're in a really great place to recruit people. Yes, it is the desert. I totally understand that. But it's the mecca of entertainment. A lot of fun. The campus is beautiful. If you guys get a chance, go to UNLV.com. Search the campus. It is gorgeous. Seriously. It does miss grass in some spots because they're in a desert. But overall, really cool, especially the nightlife aspect of it all, the lighting, amazing. New arenas, I think they're popping off, man, in the Mountain West, and they have an opportunity to really sell that and bring UNLV sports back to it. And honestly, stuff like this, even if it's golf, stuff like this where AJ's stepping up as a freshman, he's playing in the Masters, does nothing but help UNLV. And I'm nothing but supportive of that idea. I think it's great. What a place that would be, man. I tell you what, if I would have had D1 offers at UNLV, I would have taken them right away. Played my days in football, man. That would have been cool. Living in Vegas, I probably would have got tired because I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska. It's small. I get it. You guys get what I'm saying. But listen, Vegas would have been a blast for a few years, especially playing college sports. And the resources at a Division I college are different than what I experienced at the NAIA level or Division II. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Las Vegas Aces, their season is right around the corner. They're trying to continue a season where they won their division. They were the division champs last year. They're trying to get back in the swing of things. Their first game is May 5th in Seattle. They will then journey back to Las Vegas for their first game in the Michelob Ultra Center May 7th in front of the Vegas crowd. Hopefully it's a sold-out crowd. I hope everybody gets out there and gets their tickets because this team is legit. For a couple of years now, they've been legit. They've been running roughshod all over the WNBA. They may not have won a championship, but listen, I think that this is a really good team. It's a really good basketball team. They know what they're doing. These ladies can play with the best of them, and I hope they repeat as division champs. Moving over to our Vegas Golden Knights, man. Still 4th in Pacific. Mark Stone makes his return. He's going to be playing his first game since February 8th since he had a back injury. Mark Stone is going to be a big pickup. I think it's huge for the Golden Knights to start getting some of these stars back, some of these veterans back. It's going to make a huge difference for their run. They really have to, I wouldn't say they have to win out, but man, this team really has to go on a run here in order to have a chance, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. I mean, roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left. And they're currently live against Vancouver, the Canucks, in Vancouver. Score 0-0 at this time. But a win against this team and a win against the Flames and the Oilers for the next couple games would go a long way. Davidson, what's up, man? Thanks for joining the show. We're just talking about the Vegas Golden Knights because we got to touch everything Vegas. If I don't touch everything Vegas, Larry's going to boot me. Larry will come after me, and I don't want that. Nobody wants that, okay? Nobody wants that on their conscience. If Larry's mad, you know you do something wrong because that's like one of the chillest, nicest dudes in the world. Back to Vegas Golden Knights. Listen, I think they're getting stars back at the right time. This is a great time to do it. They were just coming off a 5-game win streak. They lost to the Canucks, then beat the Coyotes. Now's the time to pick up that win streak and keep it going. If these guys, gain a couple wins, they're really going to gain some spots here in the division. They're fourth in the division. They're really only a game and a half out. They've been a game and a half out for what feels like 2 months. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Oilers, the Kings, and the Calgary Flames are doing a great job of winning games that they're supposed to and not giving up points in the division. That's why I say in the next week or so, if the Vegas Golden Knights can really focus on beating the Flames in Calgary, beating Edmonton or the Oilers in Edmonton this week in itself, I think you go a long way because that's points, man. That's points they're not getting. That's points you get back. Oilers are currently the third place team. If you can beat them, you gain a couple points on that game and a half. You know what I'm saying? Right now they're behind 3 points. If you want to get back in it, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. Okay. Devils after that. Capitals who are surging red hot. Man, Alexander Ovechkin. Take a moment away from the Vegas Golden Knights. I think sometimes we as sports fans, we really need to do a better job of appreciating the athletes that are there when they're there, right? That are in the present. I think sometimes some of these athletes get way too much unnecessary hate, and we don't spend enough time appreciating what they have because there's legitimately no guarantee that a generational talent will show up, right? The LeBrons of the world, the Kobe Bryants of the world. We have no guarantee these guys will show up. The Wayne Gretzkys of the world, the Sid Crosbys of the world, and now Alex Ovechkin. Remember that rivalry? Do you guys remember that? I know this is time away from Vegas. I get it. But do you guys remember how cool that rivalry was before? Like most of my childhood when we were seeing Tiger win all those majors, you see Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin just going at it. Seems like toe-to-toe, score-to-score, game-to-game, all year long because they're in the same division, and they're just legendary players. They're generational talents. Alex Ovechkin's unreal. He's a surefire Hall of Famer. I think the one thing, a few years back when they won the Cup that people were questioning, I don't even think they were questioning he was a Hall of Famer. I think they knew Alex Ovechkin was going to be a Hall of Famer. But I did believe he was missing that Cup. Once he got that Cup, it was, cemented, right? Cemented legacy. And all he's doing is adding to those stats. He's padding. And the Capitals are winning, man. Like, they're winning games. What are you going to do about that? And it's a tough division. They're 41, 22, and 10. They're fourth in the Metropolitan right now. They're a few games out of third place. Actually, from what it looks like, from a points perspective, they're 1 game out from the Penguins. Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, those boys. Dude. Coming down to a nail-biter over there. They just recently won a couple days, or tonight against the Flyers 9-2. Capitals are a team that are dangerous. They're getting hot at the right time. To me, the team makeup is not too much different from the Vegas Golden Knights. But realistically, we have to take a look at Alex Ovechkin. We have to take a look at the Sid Crosbys of the world, the LeBron James. Even though LeBron James seems like a diva at this time, we have to understand something. The guy's probably been one of the greatest athletes in over a decade that we've seen in sports. He could probably play any sport. I'm talking about LeBron right now. Legit, he could play football if he wanted to. He'd be a crazy hybrid tight end or receiver in this league. Guy runs 4.40. He's a freak of nature at 6'7", 6'8". Actually, I want to say he's about 6'9", to be honest with you. Tall dude. Freak athletic. We have to appreciate these guys before they're gone. Because sooner or later they retire. One that hit me, and I know this is kind of off topic from the Vegas sports shows, but I just got to give you a little insight when it comes to the legends. Peyton Manning. Losing Peyton Manning sucked. I loved Peyton Manning. Okay? His commercials were dope. Saturday Night Live was what it was. Okay? Hilarious. Pagan kids in the back with a football. Who wouldn't want to do that and get away with it? And he got paid to do it, okay? I get it's a skit, but it's the thought. It's hilarious, okay? Peyton Manning was a legend. Surefire Hall of Famer. He's still one of those guys that's in the mix for top 5 football players or top 5 quarterbacks of all time. When you hear some of these players talk about quarterbacks, they all think Tom Brady's, the greatest of all time because of his rings. But there are some that still believe Peyton's the greatest that ever picked up a football. And it's because of his preparation. It's because of his ability to dissect defenses. Something I don't think Tom was near as good at. Tom just happened to be part of a better situation where there's better defenses and the greatest coach of all time, coaching him, setting up a system for success. Not to mention his offensive coordinator, who's now the Raiders head coach, was one of the best offensive play callers in the last 2 decades. Top 5 almost every year for the last 2 decades. So, I don't know. Losing Peyton Manning stunk. I hated that he was a Bronco. I was glad he was no longer a Bronco. But those interviews, those games, those all 22s where you just hear Peyton consistently changing the play, giving signals to his offensive line, telling his receiver what route to run, at what depth, in what area, finding it. You know what I'm saying? Dallas Clark, the Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Pierre Garçon. Like, shout out to the Colts, man. Those guys out there that are listening. Edgerrin James. I'm just saying, man. Jeff Saturday, those boys. They were all put in the right place because Peyton Manning was a super genius. I miss him. I really do. I love him on Monday Night Football on ESPN2. I watch that more than I watch the regular cast, even though I love Lou Riddick, but for good reason. And I'm probably going to be watching the Manning cast more often now that they brought those buffoons from Fox Sports over to be the Monday Night Football analysts, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck or whatever his name is. Those guys are awful. I can't believe they paid those guys all that money. So I'm going to be spending a hell of a lot more time. And I think, honestly, from a Disney standpoint, an ESPN standpoint, it was genius because now they're just giving these guys more airtime. Because there's a legitimate group of millions of people out there that just don't like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. So they're going to go watch the Manning cast. So realistically, all they did was spread the love. We're going to go to break. When I come back, we're going to touch a bit more on the Golden Knights, what I think they can do to really make this run if they're going to make the run. And I'm also going to head into the Raiders because guess what? Draft is just 2.5 weeks away. I'm releasing a mock once a day. If you guys are really paying attention to the Twitter, you know this. I'm releasing a mock probably 2 or 3 times a week. And it's probably going to happen for the next 2.5 weeks until the Raiders finally pick some players. And then I can dissect those guys, right? If you guys get an opportunity, take a look at our Twitter, Sin City _IESR. Get at me on, Larry, you already know, baby. Raiders, you already know. Love it, man. Thanks for joining the show. Listen, get at me, guys. Legit, get at me. I'm always willing to talk. At Kale_Henderson on Twitter. When we get back, we'll talk a little more about Vegas Knights, and we'll get into our beloved Las Vegas Raiders.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the show that never sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What is going on, everybody? This is Ben Metello, the host of the Yinza Report, right here on IE Sports Radio. I'm bringing you the latest in the Steel City, the City of Champions, from the Steelers, the Penguins, the Pirates, as well as the college game with both Penn State and Pitt. You could join me every Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, where I'll be talking about everything from the Steel City, the City of Champions, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development, but we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do. Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
Ladies and sinners, welcome back to IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. Get at us on Twitter at SinCity_IESR. And get at me, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson, where we talk about your daily Vegas sports teams. Also, just, kind of ignore some of my video game tweets. I have a hobby. It's unhealthy. Sorry. Call of Duty. They drive me nuts. It is what it is. Just try and ignore those and stick to the sports. Quick recap of the show. Before we do that, let's talk about IE Sports Radio. For the last 7.5 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with the 5 different tiers. The first one starting at $5 a month. This donation gets you a shout-outs on all 32 of our shows, higher tiers including IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment on our flagship show hosted by the man, the myth, the legend, Larry B. himself, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And with that said, I'm going to read the chat a little bit. Listen, folks, Taryn Rodriguez is always in here. He's talking about mock drafts. Get after him, okay? Don't take that mess. This time of year as an NFL fan, it gets boring. And all you want to dream about is that best prospect showing up to your team in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and maybe even the first round, and making a difference and helping your team go to the Super Bowl. And I understand you have the worst mocks in the world. Taryn, you're a Chargers fan, man. Come on now. Just kidding. Mocks are fun, dude, especially when you get the trade scenarios in. With that said, here's a great segue. The 2022 NFL Draft is right around the corner. IE Sports Radio is excited to announce its 3rd annual mock draft challenge. Apparently, our man, Taryn Rodriguez, won last year's IE Sports Radio mock draft challenge. We can't let him do it again. The rules are simple. Predict all 32 NFL teams, all 32 first-round picks. Again, if you do that, you'll get a lotto ticket. Send me some money. No trades, no modifications, no tricks. The participant who has the best mock draft will receive a shout-out on all of our shows and their choice of an IE Sports Radio hat or shirt. For more information or to submit your mock, please reach out to Mike Pat at letswine_IESR. Good luck. Look, man, mock drafts are a blast. There's so many possibilities, and there's so many websites out there these days that can kind of steer you in the right direction. They do a great job of watching film and putting out, summaries of players, little evals. I love it, and I get why some people aren't into mock drafts, because I'd say 95% of them aren't accurate and they don't mean anything. But in all realism, it is what it is, man. It's for the fans. I love it. I like it, especially when you get the experts involved. They can give you some insight. Little recap on the show. We were talking about UNLV. UNLV had a freshman golfer, their freshman part of the UNLV men's golf team, AJ McIlnerney, freshman golfer, played the Masters, man. He didn't quite make the cut. I want to say he finished plus 12, but listen, he finished plus 12 at one of the toughest courses in all of the world. And the kid deserved hats off, man. Hats off. That's awesome. Great for UNLV men's golf. Listen, if UNLV wants to really promote their program, this is the type of stuff they need to show. Hey, we're putting people on the big stage. Yeah, they may not be performing that well, but at least we're giving it a shot. Football is feeling pretty confident in their receiving core. They're feeling pretty confident. The men's Rebels team are feeling pretty confident in their offensive line, which has 4 upperclassmen returning. They've all played together last year, at least most of last year. So synergy, that's always great for an offensive line. Hopefully it leads to good things, man. I hope they get that quarterback situation filled out too. Las Vegas Aces are right around the corner. Their regular season is May 5th, to be exact. So we're less than a month and away. Get your tickets. Start seeing some events. They'll start out in Seattle May 5th. On May 7th, they'll show up in Las Vegas, the city of entertainment, the entertainment capital of the world. They will be there May 7th at the Michelob Ultra Arena, and they will start their home series there. Vegas Golden Knights, not too far out of a playoff position, man. They just really got to string some wins together. As of right now, their game is live in Vancouver. They're down 1-0. Listen, man, if these guys really want to make a run, they got to beat the teams they can beat. The Canucks, the Coyotes, Kraken, they're not very good teams, okay? They have to beat them. Still a lot of game left, and I'm sure we can still see them come out and do what they need to do to get some points on the board. They're still in the first period, no big deal. 8:08 left, but they're in playoff. They're fighting for playoff positions. They have a 5-game lead. They have 5 wins over the Canucks. They are a game and a half out of third place with the Oilers. They got to string some wins together, and the best way to do that is beat this team, who is a winnable team. And if they really want to show that they're a contender, they have to beat the Flames at Calgary on the 14th, and at Edmonton. Edmonton's huge. Being that they're only 3 points back from Edmonton, that one's huge. If you beat them, that brings you down to half a point, because every win in NHL is 2 points. Right? Loss, obviously, no points. Tie or overtime, you get a half a point no matter what. You get 1 point no matter what. But wins are the key. Wins are the key. If they beat the Oilers, they beat the Flames, I mean, they're doing nothing but helping their stock and getting them closer to a playoff position. And it would be their 5th straight year since they joined the NHL. So we definitely want to cheer that on. NFL, the Raiders, let's swing over to the NFL. The Raiders have begun their offseason OTAs. So every year when there's new coaching staff in place, there are teams, those select teams that choose a new coaching staff or new regime, they are allowed to start OTAs a couple weeks earlier than the rest of the NFL. And the idea is to get them in the locker rooms, get them in the weight rooms, get them in the film room, start studying up on the new playbook, getting them familiarized. Listen, this is a job. This is 8 hours. So these guys have every advantage in the world to really start learning the new nuances of the new offense, the new defense. And from what I see on the Raiders Twitter, we saw some really good pictures of some of the leaders on the football team. Chandler Jones making an appearance. Derek Carr showing up when it's still dark out, so I'm guessing it's like 5 in the morning. The guy's still doing those Gruden hours. I'm sure Josh McDaniels is really happy about that. Man, what a marriage made in heaven, by the way. Derek Carr is one of the most disrespected, underrated players in the NFL. And I think he's really going to show this year, especially when they get that contract extension done and he's got his peace of mind. Dude's got Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, an offensive line that was really coming on last year. Listen, they were ranked 28th in the NFL, but they were coming on last year. They got much better once they switched schemes. That gap scheme that they run, and again, if you folks really want to see the difference between a zone blocking scheme and a gap scheme, hit me up, man. Message me. Get in this chat. Let me know that you want to see it. I can do some simple drops to show you guys the difference. No big deal at all. Simple explanations, okay? I don't want to veer too far off because sometimes that's 10,000 feet over somebody's head. I want this show to be interactive. I want it to be educated as well. Maybe there's things you guys can teach me. But if you guys really want to see the difference between a gap scheme and a zone scheme, I can do 2 very basic drops, post them on our Twitter, get some interactions going just to give you guys an idea. And I think this year Josh McDaniels is really going to lean towards that gap scheme. It's what he did, a lot of power. Gap and power is a lot of what happened in New England. It was very successful for him over the years, and it really just sets the tone. Big offensive linemen mashing people, young athletic guys. And again, I can tell you guys on numerous occasions, this team looks more like a Patriots team than a Raiders team, but it's obviously the Patriots West, respectfully. If they win, it's just a Raiders team. You guys know how it is. That erases everything. But we have a bunch of no-namers on this team. Like, I know them because I study the roster. I keep you guys updated here at IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. There's a shameless plug for my man Larry B. But listen, I keep you guys updated. I read into these guys all the time. I do the mock drafts. But some folks just don't know a lot of these players. They don't know these offensive linemen. They don't know the defensive linemen that they drafted recently or that they signed recently. These depth pieces. I do. So what I can tell you is this is something that New England did on a year-to-year basis. And for the last 20 years, it's led them to be very successful and win 6 Super Bowls. They have a bunch of no-namers that fit the scheme, and they perform when they need them to most. And I hope that's what we see here from the Raiders this year in the future. Big-time upgrade with the coaching staff. So we could see Derek Carr's coming in early in the morning. Our boy Darren Waller, who a lot of folks were rumoring he was getting traded. I wasn't believing that, man. Listen, he's a trade chip. I think there are teams in the league that would go out and get him because of how freakishly talented and athletic he is. He's an all-pro tight end. He's really a special talent. And honestly, with Devontae Adams showing up, it's only going to unlock more. You guys saw how different the Raiders' offense was when Henry Ruggs was healthy, right? When Henry Ruggs wasn't in jail, when Henry Ruggs wasn't doing bad things. It was a different offense. We were a top 3-4 offense in the NFL. And Darren Waller benefited from that because teams had to respect the outside wide receiver. I have a lot of love and respect for Hunter Renfrow, but he's not a number 1 wide receiver. He's a slot guy. He's probably one of the top 5 best route runners in the league, but he's not somebody you can put on the outside and ask someone's best corner to play because Hunter's going to get shut down in a lot of cases. Okay? That's just the reality of the situation. So you had to go out and get a guy like Devontae. I still think they'll get somebody in the draft that's got speed. There's a lot to like about what's going on here. But Darren Waller is somebody I think will be on the Raiders. I think by the time the season starts, he could be paid, I don't know. Yeah, agreed, Taryn. If the Raiders trade Waller, they better get a haul. They better get a first and a second for him. He's a freak of nature. They won't get a first and a second because that's not how value works for a 29-year-old tight end that gets banged up year to year. But they'd get at least a first-round pick and probably, I don't know, a third maybe or fourth. I've seen crazier things happen. I didn't think Tyreek Hill would get 5 picks. No way. Not with his rap sheet. He's 30 years old. Things start to happen. Hamstrings start to decline at that age. And when you take away a guy's speed who's primarily built around speed like Tyreek Hill is, they're just not as effective, man. They're not worth the money. Anything could happen in today's NFL. It just depends on how bad you want it, okay? If a team in the mid-round come at the Raiders with a first-round pick and something else, I would imagine it'd be hard for them to turn that down. But, man, you keep Waller. Absolutely. Terrence says, I'd keep Waller if I'm the Raiders. I don't think they want to deal with the Foster Moreau. Yeah, that guy, at the end of mid-season, he looked great against the Eagles, teams like that. But I don't see Foster. I honestly, don't be surprised if the Raiders replace him in the draft this year. Foster Moreau is a hell of an athlete. I just don't think he can get it done by himself. And if you want to develop somebody that can kind of take over when Waller he's at that point where he has to call it quits because Father Time is undefeated. Waller's going to be 30 this year. Yeah, I mean, realistically, you just got to look at those situations. I think Foster had some really bad drops last year when he was either wide open or they just hit him in the hand. They led to interceptions that our quarterback got blamed for, and I thought it was ridiculous. There was a lot of drops. Honestly, when you look at Derek Carr's, and I posted this on Twitter not too long ago, it was a Pro Football Focus Las Vegas Raiders account. Derek Carr's adjusted completion percentage. And when you say adjusted, it usually means they factored in sacks that weren't his fault, tip balls, drops. His adjusted completion percentage since 2018 has been 79%. In the NFL, 79% completion rating is unreal. That tells you how accurate your quarterback is. If it's hitting you in the hands, I don't think there's much of an excuse. That's just my view. But yeah, Foster struggled last year. He's definitely got something he's got to clean up. I hope the new coaches come in and they help out with that because he's got a ton of potential as the number 2 tight end. But realistically, if we're being honest, I think the Raiders do look at drafting somebody because that's something that the Patriots did on a consistent basis. They draft huge tight ends that can run and catch the ball. That Walker or that big kid out of Virginia, 6'7", 255 pounds. I think he ran a 4.6 40. He's a freak of nature. Don't be surprised if that's somebody they look at probably in the mid-rounds because they don't really have a choice. Their first round is until 86. There's a lot of things the Raiders can do. But Darren Waller, I agree 100%, Darren. I think he stays. Josh Jacobs showing up in the building. Folks kind of got a cloud over his head because the Raiders haven't picked up his 5th-year option yet. They have until, I think, May 5th to do so. I imagine he's one of the only first-round. He's going to be the only first-round pick from the 2019 class that gets his 5th-year option picked up. And then they work on an extension because if I'm the Raiders, if I'm any team, I'm not paying a kid $9 million. No, not one that gets banged up and is injury prone. But Josh is going to be a big piece of this year, and I think this is kind of a prove-it year for him. So Raiders OTAs have started. Man, a lot of positive things that you can bring up when it comes to this Raiders football team. I think that they have low-key signings. They're loaded everywhere. The one thing I can tell you guys, I think this Raiders team, especially defensively, I think their defensive backfield is sneaky special. Really. You got a Nate Hobbs who had a 70-plus grade at the nickel cornerback position. He was one of the top 5 nickel corners last year as a rookie. Trayvon Morig was 70-plus according to Pro Football Focus. He's in the green. Listen, when it comes to Pro Football Focus, guys, if you're ever paying attention to that, if they're in the green, they're good. Because they don't just give those grades out. The players have to earn them. Trayvon Morig, as a freshman, played lights out. He was a stud in the middle of the field as a freshman. Trayvon Mullen's coming back. Rock Ya-Sin is one of the better man corners in the league. I totally believe that he's going to lock some guys down. Anthony Everett, he was the speed demon that locked down Tyreek Hill in the Ravens game, Tyreek Hill was held to 4 catches for 3 yards by Anthony Everett. That's how good that guy is. That's how athletic he is. That's how fast he is if you can keep up with a guy like Tyreek. So there's a lot of potential in this Raiders secondary, and I still think they'll add to it. But that's something that's going to be sneaky good, I think, this year is the defense, the adjustments, the amount of turnovers that's caused. It's going to be a different year for Raiders fans because they're not used to seeing that. Patrick Graham is a defensive genius. He does a great job of making adjustments week to week, game to game, drive to drive. And that's something this entire staff is going to have a massive advantage over from the old regime. I just felt like adjustments didn't happen soon enough when you're watching games. You just didn't feel like adjustments happened soon enough. And some of that could be Gruden stubborn. Some of that could be he was away for 10 years. But realistically, Gruden was an offensive guy. He let people on defense kind of do their own thing. And maybe that was probably the detriment of that staff overall at the end of the day. So when we look at this upcoming draft, guys, the draft is April 28th through the 30th. 7 rounds. It's going to be in Las Vegas. It's going to be a huge show. Guys, when you get your opportunity, check out the Vegas Life page. Make sure you check out the NFL Draft /Vegas /Vegas because they're going to show you the plans of what's going on. The Bellagio Fountain is where the first round will be held. Most of the draft will be held for that matter. First round picks will be carried on a ferry. Will be basically sent on a float across the Bellagio fountains to the stage. The entertainment capital of the world is doing it big for the first round. It's going to be awesome. Something I'm very excited to see. Las Vegas Raiders don't pick till the 86th overall pick. That'd be the 3rd round. And if you guys want to take a look at my Sin City Sports page or SinCity_IESR, I did another mock draft about 13 hours ago. And it went about like this. Listen, the Raiders have huge needs at linebacker. I think they need massive depth. If you ask a guy like Larry B how important linebackers are, he'd probably freak out. He'd for his entire 3 and out segment, his hour show, he'd probably talk about linebackers and their importance in the NFL, especially. The Raiders need depth there. I think they currently have 4 linebackers that can play in today's game, including Divine Diablo, who I'm starting to wonder if he's going to end up getting moved back to strong safety, which is the position he played when he was at Virginia Tech in that 3-4. But overall, I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders take a couple linebackers. And with that said, start of my mock draft as of yesterday was pick number 86, Darian Beavers out of Cincinnati. If you guys get a chance, take a look at him. He's like 6'4", 230 pounds. He's probably your traditional Sam linebacker. Dude can cover, he can run, and he doesn't miss tackles. Rarely. He's just a big dude. He's a mauler. He punishes people. I have no idea why he's fallen to the 3rd. Maybe it's because of the other athletes in this draft, especially defensively. There's just so much defensive depth in this draft. The receiver depth and speed this year could be throwing a lot of really good players in the later rounds, which is fine. This is a value pick for me, which is why PFF gave me an A on this draft pick, right? Darian Beavers in the 3rd is a big deal. But it looks like that type of stuff could happen. You never know. We could see tackles that we thought were going to be in the 1st and 2nd round fall to the 3rd. You just never know. Some teams do some weird stuff and they draft based on need. If that happens, it only helps us out. I saw some like the Athletic. Trying to remember his name. Sorry, one of the writers from the Athletic had Darian Kennard, tackle out of Kentucky, going to the Raiders. He was essentially the best run blocker in the Power 5. Yeah, he's a mauler, big dude. I think he's like 6'7", 340 some pounds or something like that. Kennard is no joke. He was basically an all SEC player, and somehow he slipped to the 3rd when a lot of folks think he'll go early 2nd, middle 2nd. That's where I think he'll be. I don't think we'll get a chance at him. I think he'll be picked up pretty quickly because Kennard's no joke. He's a run blocking savant, and I think a lot of teams in the NFL right now need right tackles, bona fide right tackles that can set a tone. That would be somebody I think is going to happen. Why haven't the Raiders, and I'll ask you guys this, why haven't the Raiders made a concerted effort to go after a right tackle? Think about that. It's one of your biggest weak points. The right side of the offensive line was horrible last year. Absolutely awful. But this staff is watching film and they think there's something encouraging. Maybe they feel like they can develop these guys. Maybe they think they can give Alex Leatherwood another shot. That's why he was drafted in the first round at number 17 last year in 2021. They were expecting him to be the starting right tackle. It didn't work out. Injuries, I think he had an unfair chance. Injuries kind of piled up at the guard, so they thought, hey, let's move him down where a lot of folks thought he'd translate better. He could stay at guard, but theoretically, Leatherwood's kind of the perfect tackle for what the Patriots like to do. So we'll see what happens. But I could totally see the Raiders go after a tackle. If a guy like Kennard falls to the third, that's the guy. But right now, I pick what's best available according to the simulation. Darian Beavers was the guy. I got an A grade for it. The next thing, I was sitting at 126, and I'm like, we need more draft picks. I think this team needs more depth. So I traded back twice with the Bills and the Steelers. Ended up at 138. Was somehow able to walk away with Cordell Flott. Cordell Flott is probably going to be your slot or nickel corner in today's NFL. He's a speedster out of LSU. He's a bit light. He's 6 foot, 165 pounds, but he's sticky. And he's an excellent man coverage, and he comes out of LSU. We all know what LSU is, man. They produce receivers and DBs on the yearly, man. Seriously. They have studs there. So if Cordell Flott falls to the fourth round, 138, I'm happy with that. The round 5, Noah Ellis. Big monster out of Idaho. Huge dude. Powerful guy. Okay? Noah Ellis, huge man. About 6'4", I think he's about like 6'4 and a half, 6'4 and a quarter, 350 pounds. The dude has a 6'6 and 3/8 inch wingspan. What? 40-yard dash, I don't care. What he does do is he's explosive off the snap of the ball. Great leverage. Huge. Okay? He plays better in space, which is great because it looks like this team's kind of reverting to a 3-4. Just super strong. You know? Not as much length. I don't know. I think he'd be a great pick in the 5th round. And according to PFF, another one of those A+. Another one of those A's when it comes to the mock draft. So I can't be upset. Good grade. 165 because there's back-to-back picks in round 5 for the Raiders. At 165, linebacker Micah McFadden out of Indiana. I think he got a little bit of bad rap because he had his hand in the cast more than half the season this last year. But the man flies around. He can cover guys, something that you need in today's NFL. You need a coverage linebacker, somebody who can kind of flow with people, especially on early downs when you have that traditional run-stopping defense usually in. Micah McFadden's a beast. I could have picked him or Jack Sanborn. Sanborn's a bit bigger linebacker out of Wisconsin. But he's no Leo Chenal, and I'm wondering if he kind of benefited for how good and how studly Leo Chenal is, who I think will probably be an early 2nd round, if not late 1st round draft pick. Micah McFadden to me was just a stud all over the film, and he moved all over the place. Strong safety. I think the Raiders really need a strong safety here. Percy Butler has great size. I think he can cover pretty well, but for the most part, I think one thing that Patrick Graham is known for heavily isn't just with his adjustments and how well he takes care of how well his defenses take care of the football and get the ball back. That's one of the bright spots for the Giants the last few years. Patrick Graham's defense was studly. He didn't have the best athletes, and they still did a great job. Patrick Graham will do a great job with this group, and if he gets a guy like Percy Butler, he can then run his 3-safety look that he likes to do. I don't know if John Abram has a lot of hope of being on this roster at the beginning of the season. If he has hope, it's because Patrick Graham is going to continue to commit to that multiple safety type defense, like that 3-safety type defense. He likes to run a free safety, which will be Trayvon Moorick. He loves to run a true coverage strong safety. He also loves to have a nickel safety, someone who can kind of play in the box with the linebackers. Run stoppers first, but for the most part, those guys, they tend to shadow either a slot receiver or a tight end. Patrick Graham loves those 3-safety looks. I don't know if he'll do it as much with Nate Hobbs and as well as he plays at the nickel corner. If I'm the Raiders, I don't move him. You have Rock Ya-Sin on one outside. You have Trayvon Mullen on the other. You still have those 2 studs or that 1 stud in the safety backfield. I think the defensive line is better. The pass rush is better. I wouldn't move Nate Hobbs. Let him stay at nickel corner. Let him thrive the next couple of years. If you feel like it's time for his extension and he can play on the outside, then move him then. But the nickel corner is a huge position of need in today's NFL with as pass happy as it is. Ty Chandler, to me, was a value pick in round 6, running back out of North Carolina that I could not pass up. The guy is an all-around running back, man. He's explosive. He does a great job. He's patient. He reads the hole real well. He does a great job of catching the ball out of the backfield in today's NFL. That matters. In Josh McDaniels' offense, that really matters. That's part of the reason why they brought in a 30-year-old Brandon Bolden. Brandon Bolden's averaged like 10 yards of reception in his career. Yeah, you guys heard me say that. As a running back, has averaged over 10 yards of reception in his career in New England. I should say in New England, not his whole career, but in New England. Josh McDaniels does a great job of designing plays where the running back has an option route. He has the ability to block, or he goes into his option route, which is either usually in, based on the placement of the linebacker, or out, again, based on the placement of the linebacker. So, for example, let's say a running back stepping out to the outside of the pocket, right? Outside of the linebacker to help out with an end. And that tackle gets his chip, so he gets his help from the running back, and this running back's going to squeak out of the backfield. He will then look at the linebacker in most cases. If that linebacker's body language shows that he's going outside or to the flats to help cover Brandon Bolden, Bolden's going to cut inside where there's space. Then a guy like Carr, who's excellent at reading that, just dumps it, and Bolden runs for 10 yards off an easy completion. Same goes the other way, right? If the linebacker stays, Bolden's probably going to stick to that outside area between the hash marks and the flats. That's called an option route, guys. There's so many different kinds of option routes. That's just kind of a dummied version of it. Why not? Go get a guy that's versatile, man. Go get a guy that can run the rock for years to come. One thing that I can tell you guys is the Patriots do not pay second contracts or big money to running backs. They continue to draft because the draft is a consistent farm for studs at the running back position. Ty Chandler would then fill in because I don't believe, in my opinion, that Josh Jacobs will get a second contract with the Raiders. Not a team. He won't get a player friendly one if that matter. He'd have to take a big time pay cut to stay with the Raiders because the Raiders can just draft talent each year in and out. Ty Chandler to me is a stud. I'm taking him. 227, C.J. Wright, Georgia Southern. A lot of people are comparing him to, his stature, 6 foot, 285. He's very strong, very explosive. For whatever reason, he's getting that Aaron Donald comparison. I would never do that because Aaron Donald he's not even human. I'm quite certain he's extraterrestrial. I wouldn't give him that credit. No way. But C.J. Wright has the potential. And in the 6th and 7th round, you guys can reach on picks. You can go after potential there. I have no reason to think that the Raiders wouldn't do that to fill out depth. The defensive line needs a lot of help, and somebody like him at 6 foot, 6'1", 285 can really play that end position. He can play the inside position, wherever he earns his playing time. Overall, I think the Raiders are really going to look to draft best available. And it's because of their offseason and how well they did with contracts, the Devontae Adams trade, hitting all their hot button, needs with the exception of right tackle. I think they're in position to draft best available, which is something you haven't seen in a long time for a Raiders team. Huge deal, guys. It's a big deal. And then to finish up that mock draft, I picked Eric Swinson, tackle out of Oklahoma. He played mostly left tackle this last year for the Oklahoma Sooners. It's a very pass-happy, but they do like to run a lot of inside zone, some gap. They love to pull guards. This guy didn't surrender a single sack last year. Now, the Big 12 defenses are bad, but this is a big dude. I mean, he's 6'6", 328. If you can train him to be a right tackle with the way Oklahoma does, their pedigree at running the football, why not? Give him a shot. See what happens. Add tackle depth. It can't get much worse than where you're at right now, right? The Raiders were the 28th ranked offensive line last year. They were the 28th ranked offensive line last year, and they had an excellent last 5 games of the season. Like, they were graded very well, and they were still ranked the 28th best. That tells you how bad the Raiders' offensive line really was last year. Giving up, I think, a pressure in 21% of their snaps. That is horrible. You can't win games if that happens. At all. So that kind of concludes the mock draft. Overall, PFF gave me an A. It doesn't happen often. When we see Mike Wines on here, DMV Sports, and it comes out and says this is the most reasonable, this has the most reasonable trades I've seen in one of these mocks. I love the ones when the team moves back 2 spots and picks up 5 late round picks. Yes, so mock drafts like that just aren't going to be allowed to happen anymore, guys. As the draft gets closer, PFF gets a little stingier about the way you can do trades. And honestly, I try to be as realistic as we possibly can. I do believe when it's all said and done, the Raiders have 7 or 8 draft picks. Whether it's trading picks on the roster or trading back at certain spots to advance their number of picks, it's going to happen. This regime is very smart about late draft picks. They do a great job of developing players. It's something Patriots have done for years. Like I said, the no-name thing. I think the Raiders are going to be Patriots West. Makes you kind of sick to your stomach, but if they start winning, it cures everything. Listen, folks, we're on our way out of the show. Covered a lot of topics today. Draft is 2.5 weeks away in Vegas. A lot of fun. Make sure you guys are keeping track of the hashtag Vegas Life. And listen, folks, reach out to us, man. Reach out. Taryn, please do some mock drafts, dude. You're a Chargers guy. If you want some help, hit me up. I'd be happy to help. I got to get our girl Angela on here, man. We got to have a debate on which team is the best team in the desert. You know what I mean? The true desert team. The true desert sports city. I'm just kidding, man. I like to razz you guys. IE Sports Radio family. Listen, at the end of the day, I love Vegas. Love the sports. Love the potential there. I think it'll be the fastest growing market there. Really happy to be here at IE Sports Radio. It doesn't matter if there's tornadoes outside. We're going to make it happen. Next week, same time, same channel, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, and I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You can hit us up at SinCity_IESR. You can hit me up at Cale_Henderson. And as always, ladies and sinners, love, peace, and hair grease.